Hi, and thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to show you how to draw a fairy. Now this is a little bit more complex than most of my other videos, so I thought I might talk you through it. I'm going to start with a basic skeleton. The reason for this is I can check my proportions and I can check my pose before I've invested too much in the drawing. Now because it's a fairy, I need to make a very light frame, very narrow hips, narrow and light rib cage, and a slightly bigger head to make a sort of teenage girl age. So for the wings, you can either go with butterfly wings or dragonfly wings, something that you prefer, or you can make something up because at the end of the day, fairies are magical. It's a good idea to sketch out the basic shape of clothes, any props that they're interacting with, and also the hair. Now, of course, because she's a fairy, she has perfect hair. She is, after all, magical. And so you want to get something that looks really light and looks like it's flying or hovering with her. Now I'm going to use two different midlines to get the face, and it's on a 3/4 view, which is actually a little bit tricky to draw if you're not used to it, but I'll be uploading a new video about that soon. So she is a fairy, so I don't want to muscle her up too much. She needs to look functional and able to do things, and she needs to have form, but we don't want to make her look really heavy. It's a good idea to sketch out quite early details, like at least where you're going to put the details of things like clothing. You can really save a lot of hassle, especially as you often overlap things in a drawing. Now here I can add some basic petals, some details to the flower. The more you give things around it form, the more believable the drawing looks, even though it's only a sketch. You sort of want to put the time into a few little quirky details like petals that are slightly off center, or something that has a bit of a dip in it, or a crack, that sort of thing. I really like doing flowers in the hair of fairies. This is your personal choice if you're not into it. And I'm going to make this one blonde like my daughter. The other thing that's a personal choice are fairy ears. You might like to go with the pixie elf sort of camp and make them pointy, or you might prefer to just give her a rounder ear. With hands, it's important to show that they're actually doing something, that they're holding on and holding some weight. So to do that, you need to put them all at a slightly different angle. It also comes back to this idea of your character having to be functional. So when you're drawing, make sure that your character's interacting with the things around them. So it's going to change the shape or the spread or the layout of your character. Like when you draw something on the floor, you might want to sort of squish them up where the weight is. I go into this a little bit more in the drawing and in the cartooning course. So if you haven't checked us out, have a look at our blueberry beetle courses. Now luckily, traditionally, fairies wear ballet shoes and they're nice and light and easy to draw. Make sure you have pointed toes, because that will show that your fairy's not putting any weight on those feet, and that will help give the illusion that she's flying or hovering. Now I'm just going to add a bit more form to the individual petals that make up the flower, and that gives it a bit more believability. It's also important to make the objects around something like a fairy seem a little bit heavy, because that will make the fairy in contrast look quite light and ethereal. So you don't need too much, just need to suggest there's a bit of depth there, there might be some light coming from above. Now usually about here I'd erase those lines, like the midlines on the face or the top parts of the legs. But because this is an instructional video rather than a drawing I'm using for my own purposes, I'm going to leave them there. Now it's important to add a few details to the wings so that they stand out. You want your fairy to be able to be read as a fairy early on, and you can add a bit of shading to give it a bit of depth. You can use the veins of another animal, an insect like a butterfly or a dragonfly, or you can just sort of wing it, excuse the pun. And so basically at this point you just need to emphasize those parts that are important to you, and usually that's the face, the eyes, the mouth, maybe the nose to a certain extent, ear, any decorations on her clothes. And that's about it. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.